Historia of Zola Deutsch's work on the Manhattan Project is also my family history. Zola was my great-grandfather. I grew up on stories of him building shelves and gardening with his children from my grandmother, Hermine Deutsch. The man I got to know was larger than life and full of creative passions. His picture hung in our living room, and we used brass and silver nutcrackers that he made on a weekly basis. He was also explained to me from a very young age as one of the scientists responsible for the making of the atomic bomb that devastated Hiroshima and Nagasaki. I cannot remember a time when I viewed nuclear weaponry as an abstract tool for the termination of a devastating world war. Rather, it was always great-grandfather Zola's work, a tangible personal connection directly to the past. In these formative years of my childhood, I was always encouraged to consider the impact of one's personal actions on a global scale through these stories of Zola's career. I remember in the repetition of oral family histories, these contributions to the Manhattan Project were always discussed with both pride for his scientific achievements and deep sadness for the devastation they caused. As a Jewish family, we hold the trauma in our bodies of generations of persecution and violence as executed in the name of bias or science. So parallels between this and the horrors that the atomic bomb caused for countless Japanese people were always explicit and never underplayed. Immersing myself in my past through this archive, I am reminded of these lessons I learned at my grandmother's kitchen table. In this domestic setting, I was able to hold the complexity of this family past with compassion for its nuances. It is not my place to judge the work of my ancestors by today's standards, but I wonder how Zola's work might have taken a different course if he had had the opportunity to discuss these ethics specific to the atomic bomb around his own kitchen table. As you know, Grandpa was an engineer and a man who had great faith in numbers, in science and empiricism, measurements, systematic explanations, and careful analysis. One might be tempted to think that he worshipped at the altar of science and used the tools of it as his moral compass. But that is a bit on the precious side. For one thing, I think that he might have told you that he could only believe in those things which could be measured or proven by a vigorously controlled scientific experiments. I remember him as a man who had the most surprising lack of interest in people's feelings. One time, when I was a girl, I went to him to tell him my troubles, and he let me know that he was not interested in listening to them, but would be glad to spend time with me in some other way that meant something to both of us. I almost would say that just as some people are tone deaf to pitches in music and cannot carry a tune, he was tone deaf to people's feelings and problems. It is almost as if he could not figure out what to do with feelings, because there was no feeling scale on his slide rule. Now, lest you get the wrong idea, I have to share something that sounds extraordinarily contradictory. While he openly expressed a lack of interest in one's problems, I felt absolutely adored by him. I thought that he saw me as the most admirable person in the world, even though there were so many things that I did which met with his disapproval. I cannot quite understand why this is, except that he would so often laugh at my stupid jokes and smile at my words, and then he would want to know what I thought of something of interest to him.